When we first meet Derek Coleman, he is the epitome of success. At 45 years old, he is a highly respected psychiatrist in a prestigious medical practice. His name is known in high circles, and his opinions on mental health are sought after by both the media and influential figures. Derek's life, by all outward appearances, is the perfect American dream. A beautiful wife, 2 well-behaved children, and a sprawling suburban home in one of the wealthiest neighborhoods. The kind of life that others envy. Derek's reputation as a brilliant psychiatrist and compassionate family man precedes him. His patients adore him. His colleagues respect him. He has built a career based on trust, empathy, and expertise. Behind closed doors, however, his family sees a different side. His wife, Claire, once the picture of happiness, begins to notice small changes. Derek is no longer the man she fell in love with. She attributes the distance between them to the pressures of his work and the stresses of raising 2 children, but something feels off. It's subtle, an absence of warmth, a quick temper over trivial matters, a growing silence in their home. By day, Derek is a compassionate therapist who listens to the struggles of others, but by night, the man who wears a smile for the world becomes someone else entirely. He retreats into his study, where he becomes consumed by a darkness he's kept hidden for years. His obsession with control, dominance, and power escalates. The quiet whispers in his mind, dark thoughts and twisted fantasies, grow louder. What began as curiosity, as an exploration into the human psyche, has evolved into a dangerous obsession. His profession allows him to manipulate the minds of others, to gain access to their most intimate thoughts and fears. This gives Derek an unparalleled power, and for the first time, he starts to feel invincible. The boundary between his professional persona and the twisted man he has become blurs. He starts to control his patients in ways no one would ever suspect, using them to fulfill his deepest desires. But Derek believes that no one can ever discover his true nature. After all, he is the trusted professional, the respected member of the community. He's above suspicion. But Claire begins to notice. She notices the late nights, the distant looks, the coldness that creeps into his eyes when he speaks of certain things. And then, one day, she finds a stack of old journal entries hidden away in Derek's drawer. The entries aren't filled with the caring, insightful observations one might expect from a psychiatrist. They are dark, disturbing, and deeply troubling. Descriptions of patients whom Derek has seemingly taken a personal interest in, notes on their vulnerabilities, and chilling references to control and power. At first, Claire brushes it off as stress-induced ramblings. But a gnawing feeling eats at her. She begins to dig deeper. She's no longer just a concerned wife. She's becoming an investigator, following clues that she's never before seen. She notices the strange behavior in Derek's patients, how some of them suddenly drop off his schedule, how others seem too eager to please him. But the truth, she realizes, is that Derek has become a master manipulator, and Claire is too close to see the monster her husband has become. Then, the unthinkable happens. One of Derek's former patients, a young woman named Emily, is found dead in a secluded part of town. The cause of death? Overdose. But the circumstances surrounding her death don't add up. Derek had treated her for months, and while the official cause of death is ruled accidental, Claire's instincts tell her that something is terribly wrong. Her unease turns into paranoia. She begins to suspect the worst, that Derek may be involved in something far darker than anyone could imagine. As Claire's search for answers deepens, she discovers a trail of unsettling facts. Women from Derek's past who had mysteriously disappeared, patients whose files were mysteriously erased, and strange connections to individuals who have died under suspicious circumstances. Claire is now caught in a dangerous web of deceit, but she can't stop. Her search for the truth is becoming an obsession of its own, and the more she uncovers, the more she realizes the shocking truth. Derek isn't just a respected psychiatrist. He's a serial killer who has used his position of trust to exploit vulnerable women. The tension rises as Claire unravels this dark secret. She knows she must confront him before it's too late. But as she pieces together the fragments of Derek's twisted world, she realizes that confronting her husband is a far more dangerous proposition than she ever imagined. Derek has spent years perfecting his manipulation. He's not the man she thought she married. Claire is no longer just a wife, she's now a target. The days following Claire's discovery are a blur of fear and uncertainty. She spends every waking moment trying to connect the dots, trying to understand how the man she once loved, trusted, could have hidden such a dark secret. She tries to dismiss the nagging voice in her head that tells her Derek is capable of something unspeakable. But deep down, she knows that she can no longer turn a blind eye. The man she thought she knew is someone else entirely. Someone dangerous. Claire's investigation into Derek's past is a dangerous game. The more she uncovers, the more she realizes that she's not just dealing with a simple case of betrayal. She's potentially involved in something far more sinister. Derek, despite his calm exterior, has an unsettling ability to control everything around him. His charm, his intellect, his authority, they all work in his favor. No one has ever suspected him, not even the people closest to him. And Claire begins to question everything she once thought she knew about her marriage. It starts with small details. She goes through Derek's patient files, some of which she was never allowed to see. The names of women who have mysteriously disappeared over the years. All of them had come to Derek seeking help for emotional trauma, but there's something wrong in their notes. Mentions of strange sessions, of Derek becoming overly involved in their lives, of subtle coercion and psychological manipulation. One woman, whose case had been quietly closed, had mentioned feeling trapped. Another had withdrawn from treatment abruptly, with no explanation. Yet another had spoken about Derek in terms that bordered on worship. And then there's Emily. Claire recalls how Derek had seemed particularly protective of her, always mentioning how difficult her case had been, how delicate she was. But now, Claire wonders if he had been so protective because Emily was one of his most vulnerable targets. As Claire sits in the study, flipping through Emily's file, her heart races. There's a picture of Emily, a woman in her late 20s with soft brown eyes and an innocent smile, someone Derek had described as fragile and lost. But Claire begins to see the cracks in the story Derek had painted. Emily had once been Derek's patient, and according to the notes, she had seemed to make significant progress. But Claire begins to suspect that the progress Emily made wasn't therapeutic at all. It was manipulative. Derek had been carefully grooming her, drawing her into his web. As Claire reads between the lines, she begins to piece together the most terrifying realization. Emily's death wasn't an overdose. It was murder. But as Claire gets closer to the truth, she realizes how little time she has. Derek isn't just a man hiding in the shadows. He's aware of what's happening. He's always watching. Claire notices strange things around the house. Items moved, doors left ajar, her personal things rifled through. She's not just being paranoid. Derek is toying with her. His game isn't over. He's been playing her all along. The tension escalates when Claire receives a phone call late one night. The voice on the other end is unfamiliar, but the message is clear. Stop digging into Derek, or you'll regret it. The call ends abruptly, leaving Claire shaken. But instead of retreating into fear, something inside her snaps. She can't turn back now. She has to expose Derek for who he truly is. This isn't just about saving herself. It's about saving other women who may fall prey to his manipulation. Claire is no longer just a wife searching for answers. She's become a woman on a mission, determined to take down the man who destroyed everything she once believed in. As the days go by, Claire becomes more desperate. She tracks down Emily's former friends and acquaintances, hoping to uncover some clue that could tie Derek to her death. But the more she learns, the more she realizes how deep Derek's influence runs. Emily's closest friends, those who might have suspected something, are all too terrified to speak. Derek has spent years building a fortress of trust, a perfect image that no one wants to see fall apart. The closer Claire gets to the truth, the more isolated she feels. But Claire finds an unexpected ally in Detective Lisa Harris, a seasoned investigator who has been quietly following a series of cold cases that seem to involve Derek. Lisa is skeptical at first, but Claire's persistence, her overwhelming evidence, and her desperate need for closure convince Lisa to take the investigation seriously. Together, they begin to dig deeper into Derek's past, retracing his steps and uncovering the numerous lies he spun over the years. They discover a pattern. Derek has been the center of a string of unexplained deaths, each tied to a woman who had come to him for help. But each death had been conveniently chalked up to overdoses, suicides, or accidents, leaving Derek free to continue his reign of manipulation. As the investigation intensifies, Claire and Lisa realize that they've uncovered something far bigger than they anticipated. Derek has been operating under the radar for years, using his position as a respected psychiatrist to conceal his crimes. He's not just a man with a dark secret. He's a master of manipulation, a predator who has spent years hiding in plain sight, using his charm and intellect to keep everyone at bay. And now, Claire knows that he's not going to let her expose him without a fight. But Derek is far more dangerous than Claire realizes. As he begins to feel the walls closing in, he becomes more erratic, more unhinged. Claire has no idea just how far he's willing to go to protect his secret life, and she knows that the closer she gets to the truth, the more at risk she becomes. In a dramatic turn of events, Derek confronts Claire. The confrontation is tense, filled with emotional manipulation and mind games. Derek denies everything, spins elaborate lies, and tries to convince Claire that she's the one losing her grip on reality. But Claire isn't fooled. She knows the truth now, and she's ready to fight for it. The weight of her discovery hangs in the air. Derek has become a dangerous enemy, an enemy who will stop at nothing to keep his perfect life intact. Claire's life has now become a race against time. She must expose Derek for the monster he is before it's too late. But in the process, Claire starts to question the true cost of justice. What happens when the person you once trusted the most is the very person you need to fear? The tension in Claire's life has reached a boiling point. What began as a quiet suspicion now threatens to engulf her completely. Derek has always been in control, but now, for the first time, Claire sees through the cracks. The man she once loved, the man who built their life together, has been hiding a monstrous secret, one that could shatter everything. But what terrified her most was realizing how far Derek was willing to go to protect that secret. Claire's confrontation with Derek has only escalated the stakes. His calm, calculated demeanor during their last encounter only strengthened her resolve. He had dismissed her as if she were a mere nuisance, trying to take the truth she had uncovered and warp it into something unrecognizable. But Claire could feel it in her bones. She was getting too close. The closer she came to exposing his dark side, the more dangerous he became. The walls in her house, once a safe haven, now feel like they're closing in. Derek watches her with that cold, calculating gaze, always a step ahead. His subtle manipulation continues, and Claire finds herself constantly questioning whether he's telling the truth or weaving a web of lies to trap her. It's a twisted game, and Derek is always one move ahead. One night, as Claire sifts through the evidence she has gathered, files, emails, police reports, and witness testimonies, she receives an anonymous letter. Her heart races as she opens it. The letter is short, its handwriting neat and precise. Stop, or you'll regret it. This is your final warning. It's not the first time she's felt threatened, but this time, it hits harder. She knows Derek is behind it. He's playing with her, trying to scare her into submission. But what if it's not just the threat of exposing him that drives his need to control her? What if the fear goes deeper? Claire's thoughts begin to spiral. What if he's not just a man with a hidden life? What if he's a man capable of anything? As the weeks pass, Claire becomes more and more isolated. She has distanced herself from friends, even family, because no one will believe her. Derek has spent years building an empire of lies and manipulation, and now, the truth is almost within her grasp. But there's something Claire hadn't anticipated. Derek's power doesn't just lie in his intelligence. It lies in the people around him, people who have become unwitting accomplices in his web of deception. She meets with Detective Lisa Harris again, her ally in the fight to bring Derek to justice. The investigation is moving forward, but slowly. The deeper they dig into Derek's history, the more they uncover about his past patients, many of whom have disappeared under suspicious circumstances. But without tangible proof, the case is still just a series of unsettling coincidences. Derek has left no trail behind, and the evidence remains circumstantial. Yet Claire knows. She knows that Emily's death wasn't an overdose, that the women who came to Derek seeking help were victims, not just patients. She knows that he has spent years hiding in plain sight, using his position as a trusted professional to manipulate, control, and destroy the lives of those who trusted him. But the problem is, Claire's voice is one among many, and Derek's status in the community makes it nearly impossible for anyone to take her seriously. As the investigation begins to gain momentum, a series of unexpected events unfold. One evening, Claire returns home from a long day of research, only to find her house eerily quiet. The kids are away at a friend's house for the weekend. She walks into the kitchen to find a note on the counter. Her breath catches as she reads it. "You've gone too far. You can't stop what's coming. Your family will be the next to suffer. Leave it alone." The words hit Claire like a punch to the gut. She's no longer just fighting for the truth. She's fighting for her family's safety. Derek's control has extended beyond his professional life and into her home, her children's lives. She knows that if she doesn't act soon, the stakes will get higher, and the consequences will be far more dangerous than she ever imagined. But Claire isn't the kind of woman who backs down. She spent months gathering evidence, and with Detective Lisa Harris by her side, she's ready to take the next step. It's time to confront Derek with what she knows. She'll lay the truth bare, and no matter what it costs her, she will make sure he faces the consequences of his actions. The night of the confrontation is charged with anticipation, tension thick in the air. Derek, ever the calm, collected professional, has no idea what's about to happen. Claire knows this is her only chance to end it all, to expose him for the monster he truly is. She waits for Derek to come home. The minutes stretch into hours. When he finally enters the house, his expression is unreadable, like he's prepared for any confrontation that may come his way. He greets Claire as if everything is normal, as if their world hasn't been falling apart for weeks. "Did you get my letter?" he asks casually, as if he doesn't already know the answer. His voice is calm, almost too calm. "I did," Claire replies, her voice steady but her heart pounding. "And I've had enough. I know what you've done, Derek. I know about the women, about the control, the manipulation, about Emily's death." Derek's expression doesn't change. He stands there, silently, as if waiting for Claire to say more. "I'm not scared of you anymore." Claire continues, her voice growing stronger. "You're going to pay for what you've done." Derek finally speaks, but his words are chilling. "You think you know everything, Claire, but there are things you'll never understand. You're just another piece in the game, and you've played your part." In that moment, Claire realizes the true depth of Derek's depravity. He doesn't just see her as a wife or a victim. He sees her as part of his twisted chessboard, a pawn to be moved and manipulated at will. But Claire isn't playing his game anymore. She's done with being controlled. "I'm not a pawn, Derek. I'm going to make sure everyone knows the truth about you. And when this is over, there will be no hiding anymore." For the first time, Derek shows a flicker of something. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's anger, but Claire sees it. His empire is crumbling, and he knows it. He's no longer in control. And for the first time in their relationship, Claire holds the power. The night Derek stands before Claire, in the wake of his cruel admissions, marks the beginning of his fall. He still carries the look of a man who believes he is above it all, as if no force in the world could touch him. But Claire has made the decision. This ends now. The power dynamic between them has shifted, and for the first time, Derek realizes that he is no longer in control. She has the evidence. She has the truth, and there is nothing he can do to stop it. Claire stands tall, her body shaking not with fear, but with a newfound strength. The man she once loved, the man who had been the center of her world, is no longer the person in front of her. She can't even remember when the last shred of the man she thought she knew disappeared. What stood before her now was a monster who had hidden in plain sight for far too long. "You think this is just about you and me?" Claire asks, her voice trembling with rage and determination. "This is about every woman you've hurt, every life you've destroyed, Emily's life. And now it's my turn to make sure the truth comes out. You will pay for what you've done." Derek's smile falters for a moment. The calmness he's worn for years begins to crack. He knows, deep down, that Claire is not just a grieving wife anymore. She's a force he can no longer manipulate. For years, he used his intelligence and charm to control everything around him. But now, Claire sees through him. And Derek knows that she's the only one who has ever come close to exposing the truth. "You think they'll believe you?" Derek sneers, his voice low and cold. "You've got no proof. Just a collection of fragmented lies. It's your word against mine. I'm a respected professional. I've been doing this for years. Who do you think they'll believe?" His words are sharp, but they no longer have the power to sway her. Claire has already made her choice. She's not going to back down, no matter the consequences. The years of psychological manipulation, the gaslighting, The lies. Derek's mask is finally slipping, and Claire is going to tear it off. She pulls out the flash drive, the same one that had been sent to her months ago, the one that contained the damning evidence of his twisted world. She had been holding on to it as her last line of defense. It's time to use it. I don't need to prove anything to you anymore, Claire responds. I've already spoken to the authorities. They're going to see everything. The tapes, the files, the witness testimonies. It's all there. Your empire is falling apart. Derek's eyes narrow, his jaw tightening as the weight of her words sinks in. You think you've won, Claire? You think you've got me cornered? You have no idea who you're dealing with. Claire stands firm, holding her ground. You're wrong. I've known exactly who you are all along. I just didn't want to believe it. But now I see you for what you really are. And I'm not the only one. With that, Claire leaves the house, the flash drive safely tucked away in her bag. She's not going to let Derek get away with it. Not this time. She's going to make sure the police have everything they need to put him away for good. But the final confrontation is far from over. The following day, Detective Lisa Harris calls Claire. The investigation is moving forward, and the police have now compiled enough evidence to take the next steps. But there's more to the story than Claire initially realizes. Derek's ties to local authorities, his connections in the medical field, and his influence in the community have all allowed him to operate undetected for years. But Claire's perseverance has forced the system to pay attention. As the days go by, Derek begins to unravel. He grows increasingly erratic. His once calm demeanor begins to crack under the weight of the pressure. His attempts to manipulate the people around him no longer hold the same sway. The truth is spreading, and it's only a matter of time before it all comes crashing down. One evening, just as Claire is getting ready to meet with Lisa to discuss the final steps in the investigation, a phone call comes in. It's from Detective Harris, but the tone of her voice is different this time. Claire's heart races as she listens to the urgent message. Claire, Lisa says, her voice filled with tension. You need to stay calm. Derek has gone missing. Claire's mind goes blank. What do you mean, missing? I'm saying he's disappeared. We're not sure where he is yet, but he's gone off the grid. We have reason to believe he's trying to escape. Claire feels a wave of shock and disbelief wash over her. She should be relieved. Derek is finally being held accountable. But now, his disappearance only heightens the fear. Derek is dangerous, and he knows how to manipulate the system. If he's escaped, what's stopping him from coming after her? What lengths will he go to in order to protect himself? She takes a deep breath, trying to calm herself. What happens now? She asks, her voice steady despite the rising panic inside her. We're putting out an APB. We'll find him, but I need you to stay safe. He's unpredictable, and we don't know what he'll do next. If you see him, do not approach him. Just call us. Claire knows she can't stop now. She's too close to the truth, but the threat Derek poses looms larger than ever before. She has no choice but to continue with the investigation, but now she must do so with the understanding that her life and the lives of her children are at risk. The man she once called her husband has turned into a predator, and Claire is in the crosshairs. But Derek's time is running out. The police are closing in on him, and his days of hiding behind his professional facade are numbered. Claire knows it's only a matter of time before Derek is found and forced to face the consequences of his actions. And when that day comes, Claire will be there to make sure he answers for every life he has destroyed. Derek's disappearance only amplifies the tension that has been building for weeks. The air is thick with anticipation. For Claire, it feels like the calm before the storm. She knows it's only a matter of time before Derek is found, but she can't shake the feeling that something far worse is about to happen. Derek has always been a master at controlling the narrative, manipulating those around him, and now that he's on the run, she's left to wonder what he's capable of. Every step Claire takes is weighed down by the reality of what Derek has done. The lives he's ruined, the women he's hurt, the years of lies. His disappearance has only confirmed what she's known deep down. Derek is a man who won't go down without a fight. He's not just trying to escape the law. He's trying to erase everything that could connect him to the darkness hidden beneath his perfect life. For the first time in weeks, Claire feels a sense of unease that cuts deeper than before. Derek is not just running away. He's preparing for something. Preparing for a final move, a dangerous one. Claire knows him well enough to understand that he's not the kind of man to run away quietly. He's calculating, strategic, and incredibly dangerous when cornered. The police have set up a task force to track him down. They've issued a nationwide alert, but Derek has always been one step ahead. His vanishing act is so precise, so meticulously planned, that Claire is certain this won't end with a simple arrest. She fears that this is the beginning of something much darker. Days pass without any leads. The tension is unbearable. Claire keeps herself busy, sorting through more files, reviewing evidence, preparing for the inevitable confrontation. She knows this is the moment she's been working toward. The moment when she'll finally face the man who destroyed everything she held dear. But there's one thing Claire can't shake, the gnawing feeling that Derek is watching her. Always watching, like a predator waiting for the right moment to strike. The phone rings in the middle of the night. It's Detective Lisa Harris. Claire, we found him. He's hiding out in an old cabin about 2 hours from here. We've got a team heading there now. We don't know what we're walking into, but we need you to stay put. Stay with the kids. Don't do anything reckless. Claire's heart races. The moment she's been dreading is here. She feels a surge of adrenaline, a mix of fear and relief. She knows the police will handle the situation, but she can't sit idly by. Not now. She has to be there when it ends. She needs to see Derek face the consequences of his actions. Against Lisa's advice, Claire decides to go anyway. Her heart tells her that she can't wait in the shadows while Derek's fate is decided by someone else. She needs to confront him, to see him with her own eyes one last time. For her own sanity, and for the justice that's been denied to so many others. Claire calls Lisa, informing her of her decision. Lisa isn't happy about it, but she understands. There's something inside Claire that has shifted. She's not afraid anymore. She's not running from the truth. She's ready to face it head on. This isn't just about Derek. It's about reclaiming the life he stole from her. It's about her children, her peace of mind, and the thousands of lives that have been ruined by Derek's manipulative grip. By the time Claire arrives at the cabin, the police have surrounded it. She watches from a distance, anxiety gripping her chest. There's no turning back now. Claire steps out of her car, walking slowly toward the cabin, her mind racing. The air is thick with tension. She doesn't know what she'll find when she enters. Will Derek be there? Will he try to run again? Or worse, will he try to finish what he started? The front door of the cabin bursts open, and Derek is suddenly standing there, framed by the dim light from inside. For a moment, time seems to stand still. He looks exactly the same. The confident man who once held the key to her life now stands before her, a stranger. His eyes flash with recognition, and then something else. Anger, fear, desperation. He knows this is it. This is the end. You came for me, Derek says coldly, his voice steady but filled with venom. Claire's gaze locks with his. I came to end this. To make sure you never hurt anyone again. It's over, Derek. For a moment, Derek seems to consider his options. He's calculating, always calculating. His mind works quickly. But this time, Claire is no longer his pawn. He can't control her, and that's what terrifies him the most. He takes a step back, raising his hands as if in mock surrender. You don't know what you're doing, Claire. You never understood me. But you will. All of this, all of it, was just a game. And you were just a piece in it. Claire takes another step forward, her voice steady. No, Derek. You were the game. And I was the one who broke it. Suddenly, there's movement. Officers rush in from all sides, and Derek turns, trying to flee into the woods behind the cabin. But he doesn't get far. He's tackled to the ground, his arms wrenched behind him. The years of evading justice have come to an end. His reign of manipulation, of control, has finally come to a crashing halt. The police quickly restrain him, and Derek is escorted back to the cabin, his head hung low, his once charming exterior now cracked and broken. His empire is gone. The truth is out. And as Claire watches him being led away in handcuffs, a strange sense of peace washes over her. The man who had tormented her, controlled her life for so long, is finally facing the consequences of his actions. He's no longer the untouchable psychiatrist. He's a criminal, a monster. But as Claire stands there, watching the man she once loved being carted away in shame, she realizes something that had been buried in the back of her mind all along. Justice, for all its power, can never fully undo the damage that's been done. The lives that have been destroyed, the hearts that have been broken, they can't be restored. But what Claire has now is something far more precious. Freedom. The freedom to rebuild her life. To heal. To finally look at herself in the mirror and see someone who survived. someone who fought back. And as the police car drives away, Claire knows that justice has been served, not just for her, but for every woman Derek ever hurt, for every victim whose voice was silenced. She has given them their justice. This case proves that secrets never stay buried, and that sometimes the people we trust most are hiding the darkest truths. Do you think justice was truly served? Or should Derek have faced a different consequence? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more gripping true crime stories like this one. Thanks for watching.